Let's do it.
And I'm so incredibly excited.
Oh my God.
Like you've said multiple times, a lot of people here, they've seen this. We have no idea. I can't wait to really break down some PvP. Once again, guys, this was played on the BlizzCon patch, but it's still a very recent patch. So we have loaded into Catalyst. All the games will be played on Catalyst. All the games will be Protoss versus Protoss, but Dan, I can't wait. Obviously, we're looking at the main base of Liquid's TLO right now, but I want to see that other main base.
Yes, so this is Alpha Star. This is an AI that we don't know how good it is yet. And we'll go over some of the fine details of the game, but already we have some interesting things happening for a Protoss versus Protoss. You notice that up here?
然后电脑这手速正常，100多而已。
Right at that small choke point, that small ramp. This is a tactic that we use in Protoss vs. Protoss to make kind of a wall so that your opponent can't get into your base. But Alpha Star is skipping that altogether.
There are very few Protosses in Europe that don't wall off.
电脑这个建筑学啊，神打神的时候通常都会封门的，它是第一场都没有封门。
Technically, you save a little bit of money. Like you save a few resources because that's a lot of probes by the way. Chasing around.
他也拉了3只工兵去采矿，那是因为他的那个他的钱已经满，所以要多拉了几只出去采矿。
That's a lot of probes bouncing around, and at the highest level of StarCraft 2. We like to think that we're all very
这个电脑第一场这个建筑流程也是怪怪的。那个 BY 它那个第二个水晶，那个第二瓦是没有掀盖。我这电脑感觉工兵是蛮低能的。它的钱还没有满采哦。然后这水晶塔有点雷啊。
To build these buildings so they can build units to get out on the map.
你看他那个瓦斯其实是可以調一下他的工兵位置，他這個踩到底是怎樣
I'm so interested right now because I see, for instance, TLO is making 2 adepts.
Yep.
And this is the main reason why you'll make a wall at your ramp so that those adepts can't come in and start to destroy your probes.
Nope. Even though
然后他至少也不会封门，然后他那个踩瓦斯是繞着那个水晶塔，这樣會少一點點瓦斯。前面也是兩教室哦，他還把後面那邊封起來。
In a regular game, if we are casting this in a normal way, we say that these two.
所以他這個已經是replace了。你看他那個教室在控的時候啊，他是那個幻影跟他那個一起控的。哦，跟着這個幻象。哦，轉一隻，哇，工兵都拉出來了，牛逼牛逼。
Alpha Star is trying to target them down as best as he can, but this is pretty significant damage, I would say.
I must say this is a really interesting exchange because even though
這優勢有點大。
was able to pick off 4 or 5 probes there, which we normally say is a very big deal, you could say that the maximum amount of workers that you want to have on your minerals in this phase in the game is 16, maybe 18. Alpha Star technically still has that at least. It's mining a little less gas, but when it comes to mining minerals, it's still mining more than enough.
這個阿巴斯大感覺像是要打 VR 3BG 那個套路。然後 TLO 這邊下了一個電池防先知，然後自己也出了先知過去。繼續，這應該飄出來硬打。
And, you know, Alpha Star is skipping that. TLO comes in again, is harassing more of those probes, killing them off, and I mean, I feel like it's a good position right now.
這邊阿巴斯大也來了，做一樣的事情。
It seems like his units are a little bit out of position to keep these.
這個我覺得就是 TLO 的問題了。他有封門還讓人家教室上來，那你乾脆不要封啊！你都封了還讓人家上來，你乾脆不要封算了。
We can see at the bottom right now, it's 24 workers for TLO and 25 for Alpha Star. So overall, I guess Alpha Star has recovered from the early game.
Yep. Normally,
就那個 TLO 飄了2次，死了4隻教士。那個阿巴斯大飄了1次，殺了7隻農。這個其實差不多，你知道嗎？虧回去了。
Is getting a warp prism. This warp prism is going to allow Offstar to be
哦，人機4BG，
and should be able to
這個確實是非常適合阿巴斯大的打法。阿巴斯大用這個打法確實夠強。哦，這邊還有防先知哎。
Just very precisely, which we've already seen that Alpha Star is quite good at. You're going to be kind of juggling stalkers these big long-range shooting units in and out of the warp prism, trying to dodge, taking damage, and doing damage to your opponent in the meantime.
I love how
去年的版本
Offstar is really
哦，
respecting
很
the
之前的
Oracle as well.
replay 是
It's like, knows there is an Oracle out, we'll just leave a couple stocks at home. But at the same
来
time,
这个打法
still
很适合
trying to make
Avasta
something happen
单
on the
矿
other side of the map. And this is actually kind of scary for TLO
Yeah.
because
人进
yeah,
来在了
Phoenix is about to come out
再
soon.
起
But
来
once again, this Warp Prism is going to allow Offstar to micro these units incredibly well. And well, I mean,
Well, so far the micro's good. It's not like perfect micro that we're watching at the moment. But look at this. Getting backwards, kind of kiting everything with these stalkers. Some good juggling going on. That Warp Prism still alive, though very low on health.
他干嘛？他点人气吗？哦，
Nice pick up there
他
on
点人气
Oracle. So both air units went down for TLO, but still hasn't expand. Is still trading out quite decently, I would say, in the middle of the map. But if you take a look at the
这目前这样看起来，其实阿巴斯大的操作蛮好
Star
的
is。actually quite a bit bigger now. Obviously, we left 4 or 5 units on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
So those units can technically join for the next push, and since the shield battery went down for TLO as well, this can actually get a little bit dicey.
You're quite right. Even though TLO right now has an economic advantage having 2 bases to
这
1.
个压力很大哦，公民补过头了啦，
He's gonna be able
都
to
已经知道
hold
对方
this
单矿
assault
了
from Alpha Star.
老塞
I。think this is maybe a moment where you can see that TLO is not a natural Protoss player because I think the start was good for TLO, and I think there was time to be ready for this.
这个地方就是 DO 的问题了，他已经知道对方打单矿一波了，他农民还補到30幾隻，又不補電池。
TLO is in a dire position right now. These stalkers just going in and out, dodging all the damage that TLO is trying to give to him, and kind of choosing when to take these battles. It feels to me like so far these attacks have been very well planned by Alpha Star.
And they're relentless. Does not stop. I mean,
No.
Tim said he was worried that perhaps the Offstar was going to be incredibly turtly. Well, it seems like the opposite.
Yeah.
Turtling is a term we use for a player that just never attacks. I think it's safe to say that Offstar is the opposite. It loves to attack.
死去，
Well, that is
这个
it.
哎，
The
这个就
GG
TO 的問題
is
哦，
a good
他
game
第一
here
波
from
守住
TLO.
了，他就要想到說
The
人家是打
first
單礦
game
了，
from
他這時候就要趕快
Alpha Star against a pro gamer
補電池
goes
什麼
to
的，
Alpha
他還把
Star.
農民補起來，
Before
電池
we
也放
get
完了。
into that,
Of Catalyst.
來第二場
in the main base of Liquid TLO.
阿巴斯大打 DO，
And in the top
好像是
left,
同
we
张
have
圖哎
Alpha Star. Once again,
阿巴斯大是
we
不是直接打這張
went
圖
over
啊？
this. It doesn't look like it wants to wall in at its ramp, so kind of has that open main base.
Now, I think there are ways that you can
哎，
get
所以我
away
讲
with
我
not
講話
walling
的
off at the ramp. We went
影片也
over
會
it
有
in game
自動
1
翻譯
why
嗎
it is optimal, or at least we think it is optimal to wall off in PvP. I think the way that Alpha Star defended it in game 1 is not perfect. Like, I technically think that you can open up with the 2 adepts that TLO did.
好，
He
这
did
个
quite
阿
a
巴
bit
斯
of
大還是
damage.
一樣沒封門
If
了
you，shade out
看來他
the
是沒有
2
感受
more
到
adepts
封門的
after
威
that,
力，
I
因為
truly
剛剛那個
believe that
TO
you
直接
do
被
enough economic
被飄
damage
進去了，
that can
所以他
truly
覺得
hurt
封
the
門這
opponent
行為
where
智
it
障。
almost becomes impossible to come back. I mean, the main reason, I don't know how this went for you.
然後那個什麼 DO 他那個封門也不是很好，他這個封門他的弓標多走一小圈，這樣他到2礦的速度會變慢，經濟會比較差一點。
Well, we ask you to come here to basically just observe and tell us whether or not this is good StarCraft.
你看他這個封門不好啊，他應該知道封上面吧，封上面留下面的洞吧，
I would agree with you.
叫他弓兵出去都要繞一大圈。
I mean, it's very interesting to hear that.
我們是在檢討 TO 的嗎？
Carrier game, because we don't really see that. We'll have to check those replays out later, but I guess we are going to see. This game was chosen, of course, because it is an interesting game and strategically something
這個阿巴斯
people
大我
want
用手
to
都不一定
see,
贏哦
so-，
他很強
It's。really interesting to see how late Alpha Star saturates their gases,
Yeah.
which is actually pretty funny because I think that the TLO actually a while ago when we often get questions, right, whether we're a caster or a pro game, is like, what is the
他這個其實
thing that I should
你看有一點，
focus on
他的
the
語音
most
上
in
面
the
還是有
lower
問
leagues?
題
And
的。
one of the
18隻
biggest
農民
mistakes that lower league players make is that they take their gases very early, not just in
Yeah.
the main base, but in their second base, in their third base, in their fourth base. People
他這個
take
18隻農民應該
gases
是
too
外面有
early,
2隻，
and
然後
obviously
點
you
礦
take
吧
their gases，too
不然
early,
為什麼
you
會
mine less
18隻？
minerals, but you need minerals to technically create
Yes.
everything else. I
好，
think
他又把這
Alpha
邊
is
封
maybe
起來。
overdoing it with
建築
delaying
學
it
都
that
一樣。
much on one base. We like to think that this is not optimal, but hey, maybe the officer knows something that we don't.
Well, I mean, it knows something TLO doesn't know, that's for sure. So, right now we have Alpha Star making a couple of adepts.
好，又來飄了，看這一場 DO 會不會又被飄到？
TLO's play, to be fair, after that kind of little joke aside, it looks like professional play. You know what we're watching, like the placement of all the buildings, the way he's moving around with his units. this is what we would consider like a pretty standard Protoss versus Protoss opening.
I actually love this. The adapts going through the middle of the map and shading.
Oh my gosh.
That's some pro level play.
That was...
If you talk about minor things, like if you don't do this, if you don't let that shade finish up, your adapts will run straight into the forces of your opponent. They get A, revealed, they B, take a lot of damage, and C, you're at risk of losing one. That was a really good move.
You saw where the shade finished. The adepts were in that tall grass area, and that's actually kind of a big deal. Like, you can't see them from outside, but they can see you. So that seems like it was a very expertly done move there by Alpha Star.
I love how it went up the ramp. It picked off one probe.
哦，这是有风哦。这是有风的话，搞不好 AI 就会发现这个风门是有用的。
I wonder if TLO cancels that pylon. He does.
Oh!
哎，要不要抓掉？
Waits because it is a pylon and sneaks in right there.
But unfortunately, just wanted that. Its time is most likely limited.
哦，这前面有优勢了。哎，等等，這個人口都怪怪的。DLO 這邊開了2礦，所以他的有400塊錢拿去做建築哦，少了4人口在這邊，8人口在這邊。
Yeah. Now, Alpha Star is kind of doing what we saw in Game 1, right? It's getting that robotics. It's getting a lot of stalkers. I expect to see a warp prism made here momentarily.
You see the amount of probes that Alpha Star has in the main base. I mean, it is mining a few more minerals.
Alpha Star 动作很快哦，人进出来了。他也下了 VB， 看起來是要出猎光球。
You mine a little more with 18, a little more with 20, and a tiny bit more with 22 and 24. But that difference is so small that you technically don't want to go there as a competitive StarCraft 2 player.
Yeah, it's very true. We normally try to, minimize
the
extra workers you have on a base like that, especially if you're doing something kind of aggressive. Now, seeing the robotics helps your tech a little bit. It lets you make more sophisticated units like Colossus. You can get some upgrades in it. You can make disruptors. And while it's not completely unheard of to get it on one base, it's a very rare thing to see in a Protoss versus Protoss match.
True. I must say I love the decision to not commit to the attack though. In the first game that we watched, the first replay as well that we casted, we saw clearly that there was weakness in the defenses of TLO, and then maybe sensed that. Couple units and eventually was able to squeeze out a victory. This time it seems that TLO is a lot more prepared.
Yeah.
And then immediately we see the decision of Alpha Star to actually go for the expand as well. I mean, that is the way you want to play StarCraft.
Yeah,
没推啊，这比赛哦，人家还说比赛只没成绩就说人家退役，这超靠北的啊！啊，那个选手他退役了啦。
Getting into his Twilight tech after that robo, so he can get kind of some more mobility and power into his gateway units. Looks like he is going to go for the charge upgrade, but right now Alpha Star is coming across the map with his stalkers, but where is that disruptor?
Yeah, 光球
waiting. Okay, it is trailing a little bit behind, but perhaps this is just one of those moments where, you know, as a player, you always want to be active.
Good.
If you have units, you
want to get
some value out of this units, and it's not always about or trying to get a massive advantage, because just being out on the map often keeps your opponent busy. If your opponent sees forces, there is a bigger chance they make a mistake.
Okay, here we go. He's actually coming up.
他是不会放立场啊！
Disruptor shot.
我天，
come out from
这立场太神了吧
And he actually does a very good job parrying this attack from Alpha Star.
Yeah, very risky by Alpha Star to go through a ramp like this. This is a very narrow ramp. A single force field can technically split this army in half.
Yeah.
These are not...
Whoa. Wow.
Low.
Yeah, very nice micro there by Alpha Star, guiding that in. Now that
disruptor, it's a
very high-tech unit. It does a lot of area of effect damage. So that little orb that you see...
这个猎光球可以一直无限的飘啊
It does a lot.
But this is what I meant. Normally we don't go up and down a ramp like this too many times because a single force field can shut this kind of movement down.
That's right.
If your army gets, split in half, you can technically lose half of it and not really get anything in return. So these are very risky plays.
Yeah, it really is coming up this ramp. Oh, another good hit though. I mean,
哎，这是旧版的猎光球的。这猎光球怎么一下就爆了？这旧版的吧
？Is super saturating his nexus here.
Definitely creating a pretty big advantage since it has been building probes non-stop as well. As our observer is showing us, the income right now on the side of Alpha Star quite a bit higher than the income of TLO. Even though the Nexus was later, it's been ahead in workers throughout the majority of this game. Wow, this is
不行，我觉得 TLO 这母湯哎，這個獵光球。
It's gonna back up. I mean, TLO's economy looks like it's gonna get a
我看是死去了。
live through this, but Alpha Star is just continually pushing in. He's even getting a second robotics at home, which is a very rare thing to see.
这题有5000分啊
He's pushing right in.
The value of these disruptive shots doesn't lie, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
might get a few more out. I think these are moments where
我看他可能真的退役哦。如果他是玩神族的话，可能是真的退役了，你知道吗？
Of course, you want to be rather safe than sorry in general in StarCraft 2 when you attack, but these disruptive shots have done some phenomenal damage, and AlphaStar is actually in a tremendous.
哇，这个猎光球还，这猎光球有點燒哎，他還要去炸那個聖堂武士哎。
Now, TLO has actually gotten a pretty decent set of units here together, so finally pushes him back down that ramp.
And once again, it's important to mention that this was played on what we like to call the BlizzCon patch. The Disruptor has changed quite a few times over the years, but this is still the Disruptor that shoots forward, what we like to call a Purifier Nova. But it will blow up as soon as it connects with a unit. So you have to be very careful, because if it connects with an enemy
應該說這個時期的 Alpha Star 還只會 F2。
losing your own units as well.
Yeah, it will destroy anything that it blows up on here. Now,
哇，
continually
哎，他這個獵光球有點
ramp.
哦，沒有，我誤會了。我剛想到他獵光球還故意閃過那個會炸自己的那個路徑。他沒有 F2 啦，他前面兩個小眼睛沒有跟着動啊。所以他不是 F2。
But you're spot on, Dan. We are very worried in general to go up ramps, because once again, the Force Field is an incredibly powerful spell in Protoss vs. Protoss. If you don't have Archons or Colossi, which is our late game units, you can't really break Force Field. So we would normally be very, very hesitant to even think about going up a ramp like that.
Now TLO is actually attacking into.
這個獵光球確實是很適合 Alpha Star 的打法，他不知道會不會炸自己啊，好期待哦。
It's also something that I think you normally don't want to push into. TLO getting very ambitious here. Obviously, did drop. That's a lot of observers. I mean, we have seen this once or twice in our life, but perhaps AlphaStar lost a couple games against Dark Templars against this. Like, I want to make sure that never happens.
Yeah, again. The observer that we see flying.
他防引刀啊
it just detects anything that's invisible for you. There are some invisible units in StarCraft, and so you'll use this for that situation.
Or AlphaStar is telling us that F2 is the optimal hotkey to use. The F2 is the select all army hotkey. We have always a very divided opinion. Some players love it and some players hate it. Some players will say you should never use it, but technically if you press F2, if you haven't changed the hotkeys in StarCraft 2, you'll select all units at once, and that's often
這獵光球太強了，這獵光球電腦來控的話，控得好真的有點強。
Right now, again, just continuous blasts here from the disruptors, and it almost feels like there's a little bit of sloppiness coming out of AlphaStar with the units, but at the same time,
他用那個獵光球去探視野，
which is very common
這個旅客
to see
是
the situation.
I love that move. AlphaStar just immediately recalling as soon as it realized that it was a little bit out of position. Oh, what's that? Okay.
Okay. Nothing to attack up there, but okay.
Those are not shots we would normally make, but I do like that move, bringing the army back home, knowing that TLO was in the middle of the map and trying to respond to it. So, man, it never stops with disruptors. How many disruptors do we currently have out on the map? 11 more.
11 disruptors.
哇，他分兵了，他獵光球往右邊走了。
This is really kind of wild to see. Like, I have never seen a game that looked like this, and so far, AlphaStar actually has more supply. If you look at those numbers at the bottom, 152 of 181 against 116 of 133. So it's 155 supply against 116, which generally we look at that and just say, okay, that's a pretty decent advantage right there. You just have a lot more units on the battlefield.
It's been a really interesting game, this one, because it started off, you'd normally say, in a good way for TLO, but then AlphaStar really brought it back, had a couple of phenomenal trades, and now it just feels like we're in a phase in the game where we're looking at an amount of disruptors that we don't normally see in Protoss vs. Protoss. I mean, disruptors are fantastic units, but you make 5, 6, maybe in some crazy
没有错，
scenarios,
獨立思考。
we see 13 right now out of AlphaStar.
這個時候的 Alpha Star 跟打 Mana 的時候，應該實力有落差吧？打 Mana 那時候的 Alpha Star 又更強了。
But just keeping them together right now, AlphaStar definitely has a strategy and is sticking to it.
Meanwhile, we see TLO going for a couple of Zealots on the right top side, and at the same time also building Phoenixes at home. I do like this because I think one thing that we have seen over the last 5-6 minutes is that Offstar often runs around with the entire army in one place. TLO is starting to take some advantage of this.
That's true.
By making a minor attack on the.
感觉用双线打阿巴斯大好像效果显著哦。可这个狂人是一直都没插死这样，你可以控一下吗？
I like that TLO is
哦
definitely
有
learning
捅到
and
了。
adapting here. Getting some units that are actually very good against disruptors. Disruptors can't hit units that fly, so these phoenixes are gonna come around and lift the disruptors
这
up.
个猎光球确實讓人蠻絕望的，這數量。
Void Ray. A fake Void Ray, but yes, you're spot on. TLO is building a unit. Ooh. Gotta be very careful being aggressive. Once again, a couple of these forces of TLO do go down. I mean, supply-wise, it really doesn't look good. The numbers that obviously are next to the names. Offstar is close to having the biggest army possible in StarCraft 2. Not necessarily the most optimal army, because this is a pretty crazy composition, but you cannot go over 200 supply, so I guess you gonna have to attack
Alphastar has done what we call maxing out. Alphastar has maxed out his supply, and it's just a gigantic army, as you can see. Mostly
这个阿巴斯达升了一大堆需要操作的单位，你看他狂人是提速都不升的。
Definitely feels like Alphastar can win a battle at this point. 18 disruptors. Never have seen that in a pro game.
No, that is.
他应该切一片给我们看。
There's also a lot of stalkers and no blink upgrade. This is also not something we see at very high level StarCraft 2. This army composition, however, is incredibly strong, and I think TLO is in a world of trouble because a couple of phoenixes. Ooh! Oh my goodness! That's a way to not be maxed out.
果然还是照自己了。
Yeah, Alphastar blows up a lot of its own units here. The Phoenix is coming in and lifting up so many of the disruptors that will cancel their shots as they come out, and it looks like TLO is going to take this battle pretty decisively.
哇，一波重傷哎。
Supply quite a bit. I mean, that was an interesting battle. Offstar clearly one of these Purifying Novas of the Disruptor connecting with the own forces meant that TLO was going to get a better fight there because a lot of units went down before the fight.
哇！
But I mean, now at the same time,
下面这边被炸成智障了。
phenomenal Disruptor hits off, and TLO simply doesn't have the amount of units anymore to really fight an army like this.
No, not too many. But TLO has taken the 4th base. I feel like TLO has done a very good job of economy management the way that we understand it as humans so far.
Well.
Keeping that mining going. But Alphastar just completely relentless.
Double Observer once again. As recall is being used on all these disruptors as well.
他屡扣猎光球回去防守，
You know
啥
what
意
I
思？
think it's one of the most interesting things about this game that the Offstar has not decided to go for Blink. A lot of Stalkers have been produced in this game. Oh, Blink actually finished up.
Yeah, just very, very recently.
这猎光球太白痴了。
Something that you normally see on the pro level. You get Blink with your Stalkers. It makes you very mobile. Your Stalkers can kind of just flash to different locations like that we just saw.
Yeah. Okay, then it does make sense. But it was late because during that first big battle, we didn't have it yet.
Yeah, it just finished.
We don't often see high-level games with 20+ Stalkers and no Blink upgrade. That's just something that we don't see very often.
Well, Alphastar seems to be coming in once again with just about.
有啊 ，AI 控有失误啊，他刚刚猎光球炸自己哎。
It feels like Alphastar is going to be.
你看他这个跳也是很戳啊，你看现在又炸自己了。
Not if it keeps blowing up its own units. But I mean, the amount of disruptors seems like it's a little too much to deal with.
他追在点
It's
凤
not
凰，
an optimal composition, but it seems like
他用猎光球炸对地面，然後用那個追獵去點鳳凰。
Incredibly excited for this then. I mean, obviously I think the previous series comes as a little bit of a shock to us as well. I did not expect I did not expect that. But I mean, you know, when we are analyzing StarCraft 2 the way we normally do, clearly the Offstar played pretty well. But if this would be the same
打韩之批啊，他都打赢巴哈纳了。某些如果是這張圖的話，有可能可以打贏。 打其他圖的話，我是覺得應該還不行啊，他可能還沒有開發完所有。
The one that TLO played, I would absolutely believe that Mana can take care of that Offstar.
Yeah, it felt kind of like you could see a lot of the fundamentals of TLO. No matter what race he plays, are going to be very strong. But some of the very specific counters, Mana, I think, would have done better. Now,
like I believe that when it comes to the opening, we already went over the openings a little bit in Protoss vs Protoss. But once again, I believe that there is a much harder way to punish the fact that Offstar is not walling off than TLO did. TLO got it off to a reasonable start. I believe a player like Mana can punish this a lot harder, unless AlphaStar would have the absolute perfect defense, which you could say is maybe a Phoenix, an Adept, and a Shield Battery.
Okay.
But we haven't seen that yet. So I'm actually very curious to see how this plays out.
阿巴斯达有侦查。
Realize that this is kind of the way that AlphaStar has been playing so far.
你看一下那个 Mana 的这个建筑学就比较正常，刚那个 TO 建筑学就不正常，你看 Mana 这就正常。
One thing I did notice that was kind of interesting is AlphaStar immediately hooked to the side with his initial probe sent out to scout the map and see what his opponent was doing. And that's normally what you do to scout proxy buildings that are aggressive.
然后这时候阿巴斯达还是没有封门，他那个水晶塔位置也是蛮烂的，会卡到自己的瓦斯。不是上面如果有洞的话，你去2矿你要繞比较大圈啊，你采矿速度会比较慢。
Liquid Mana is going for the 2 Adepts, like TLO went for in the very first game that we saw as well.
哦，也 VS 吗？
Alright, talking about proxies.
Yes, yes.
But normally you would say that the 2 Adepts of Mana should be able to get quite a bit of damage done in the main base of AlphaStar.
This is what I would expect. Now, both sides of this look pretty normal so far. Proxying, you know, putting buildings near your opponent's base in Protoss versus Protoss is a pretty common strategy. We see AlphaStar is doing that. It will probably be a Stargate. If it was a human, it would definitely be. Mana is going for a Stargate of his own in the main base. So this is very, very standard, of course. As
BG， 所以是4 BG 咯。
is not very uncommon either. This is something that is pretty familiar.
然后在家里再补一个
high level play as well. Building the gateway on the other side of the map.
哦，他2个都补在外面哦。
Okay, that's not something we see super often anymore. But a good old 4-gate. I think this was the very first strategy we had in StarCraft 2.
Yes.
And it's been pretty strong and scary ever since.
Okay, the 2 Adepts get into the main base of AlphaStar. And AlphaStar is actually losing a fair amount of probes.
哇，刚刚 Mana 有失誤了一下。
3 or 4 probes already going down.
哇，这样壓力有點大哦，家裡。
Well, one was the scout as well. So
剛沒有注意他2礦放了沒？如果有的話，2礦要炸掉，然後趕快把電池虛空不朽做出來。
No, but normally building 2 gateways on the other side of the map and it being scouted, this means that you are pretty committed to this build, as we like to call in StarCraft 2. This is not something where you can just stop your plan and immediately do the complete.
不過阿巴斯达這個4 BG 是沒有人進的。
resources into going for this strategy. If there's one thing that really stands out of the last game we saw, AlphaStar versus TLO, is that AlphaStar doesn't seem to fear ramps very much.
No.
Even though that's something that we do.
That's true, yeah.
We are very worried about going up ramps. In StarCraft 2, there is no high ground vision, as we like to call. So the units on the low ground cannot see what is on top of a ramp unless you commit to it.
Yeah, they're just going to take free hits, and you
還敢下去啊，冰鳥，人家7隻啊。
For AlphaStar's Stalkers. Now, AlphaStar does have way more Stalkers here than Liquid Mana does, but with those shield batteries,
完了，我們冰鳥要死了。
Maybe Mana can hold on.
哦，這個立場可以，這立場可以。哇，瑪娜不愧是打不蝎子亞軍啊，這個。但是家裡要爆炸了，完蛋了。不朽者弓兵拉出來，可以弓兵。不朽者位置，不朽者。
好像很久沒時間看台了。
哇，不朽者 ！Oh my god！ 哎呦，石頭哥。 石頭哥感謝續訂，完了，這個不朽者爆已經輸了。
So far, it's important that your stalkers, the units from AlphaStar here, don't get surrounded by these probes, because stalkers are very good. They're fast and mobile.
有沒有看他追獵甩的？行雲流水，小橋流水，有沒有看到這個追獵甩的？
It's very solid so far, and where things look perfect for Mana, it actually seems like AlphaStar is taking this.
Well, you know, we would normally see Mana win a position like this, but the micro overall, this control of these stalkers has been fantastic. AlphaStar is just playing really, really well here.
And once again, showing no respect to the ramp. Just walking into a Protoss main base, this is not something we see super often at high-level Protoss versus Protoss play, because we saw 1 sentry, but normally you would see multiple sentries.
這個追獵操作蠻好的。
You cannot enter the main base.
Okay, so
我說實在，我覺得 Mana 是有機會守住的。他家裡沒守好，他家裡其實有機會守住的。
That looked too, but I do totally agree with everything that Mana said. Game 2 looked very solid, and if you would go up against that, I think that's where it indeed starts getting really scary. I agree with Mana's assessment of game 1, and we are not saying this. Like, a lot of people often think about StarCraft like, well, just because you say it doesn't work doesn't mean it shouldn't work. Like, it clearly did, so it was the right thing to do. I don't think that's how StarCraft 2 works. Just, sometimes you can have a good outcome, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was the right play. And there are moments where you clearly shouldn't run up ramps because, that's you're giving away half your army more often than not, and you're putting kind of the ball in your opponent's corner, right? It's not even about you making a good move. You're only relying on your opponent not making the correct play. And I feel that's kind of what happened in game 1. Game 2, we didn't see everything. But what I saw from those clips there, that looked a lot more solid and definitely a lot more intimidating to go up against.
I can already tell just with the way that Alpha Star has been moving in the games against Mana that it's quite a bit stronger than the agents that went against TLO. So, this is very exciting to see. Now,
look at this.
Alpha Star is for the first time making that wall that we've been talking about. This is the normal standard for human players.
That's actually super interesting because despite the fact that in game 1，
好，这场那个阿巴斯达有封文了。
It seems like perhaps that's
看来应该是
at least this agent felt
前面有吃到苦头，不封门的苦头。
So far，
这是其中一种可能，另一种可能就是他在打 TOO 的时候 ，TOO 的那个封门方式太烂了，所以他覺得那個沒有學的必要。但他在打 Mana 的時候，發現這個封門的方式是有用的，所以他就學了。因為我剛剛不是有講嘛 ，TOO 那個封門方式會讓他去2礦的那個時間點變長，所以 Avastar 可能覺得那樣封門是比較沒效益，所以他沒學。這種封門方式就不影響到你的經濟嘛，沒有影響到很多啊，所以他覺得比較好，就他就學。
When it comes to Protoss openings, there is no such thing as an absolute best opening. A lot of pros will like the opening that Mana's going for here, which consists of 1 Stalker and 1 Sentry. Stalkers are strong defensively, Sentries as well, and Sentries also allow you to scout a little bit what's happening on the other side of the map. The 2 Adepts is a perfect opening if your opponent has no wall off. But since Mana scouted that the Alpha Star actually did go for a potential wall off at least, because the gateways are near the ramp, I think Mana's opening
made on both sides. Again, pretty normal stuff. If you showed me this replay just randomly last week, I would have told you that I am watching 2 humans play each other. And go ahead and expand first. Now, when is Alpha Star going to do this? Each game so far, Alpha Star has been pretty slow on that, but continually making those probes. As you can see, 21 in that main base so far.
But a 303 Nexus.
誰刷手速可以刷1600啦？你用按的給我看，1分鐘按1600下。
On the BlizzCon patch, the patch that we had the World Championship Finals on just a couple months ago, this was very standard expand timing. Like, this is as normal as it gets. And even when it comes to the probe movement, even when it came to the gas saturation, I can see a very big difference between this Alpha Star and the one we saw 3 games ago.
No, you're certainly right.
你正常打，你打給我看，我跟你打一場，你手速刷2000，我看你可以打得多好。
3 Stalkers versus 3 Stalkers, whoever can control better is going to take that advantage, and we see Alpha Star gets it.
I feel like Mana is trying to get these Stalkers up the ramp since Alpha Star has not shown a lot of fear up to this point, but this time Alpha Star is not committing going up the ramp, and the micro, I mean, the micro on these Stalkers is incredibly effective.
Really good. That is top tier micro right there, pulling back the very injured Stalkers with almost no health.
And look, it shows respect for the ramp this time.
Yeah, it's being a bit more careful. Mana is hitting the force field, but does Mana actually just lose the Nexus from here?
But I mean, if we would normally see this, we would go up to the point where whether or not the Nexus goes down, at this point doesn't matter that much, because Alpha Star actually has a very strong build order on the other side of the map as well. It's following up with Phoenixes. I mean, it's nice to see that Alpha Star
他这場被完爆得很厲害。
came up with the conclusion that Phoenixes are awesome.
Yes.
哦，所以这場有水準。
Well, Mana gets out the Immortal. Mana also showing a very expert professional micro here. Mana was poking down, trying to push those Stalkers back, threatening damage on them. So he actually saved his expansion, and he's got some strong tech. Yeah, it's not the Phoenix, but Immortals are very, very strong against Stalkers.
Yep. Phoenix could potentially lift this Immortal, temporarily disable it to not let it participate in the battle, and then at that point Alpha Star's army would be a tiny bit stronger once again. But it is hard to be this aggressive in a Protoss versus Protoss for this long, especially this early on into the game. If there is no way for you to have quick reinforcements, there is no Warp Prism, there is no pylon on the other side of the map. So these are attacks where we would normally say like, it seems hard to really get a lot done here.
Yeah, but as you said, you know, with those Phoenixes out, they
目
can
前这场
disable
看起
some of
来
these really strong
Mana 没有
units,
列
so
没有下风
I'm
哦。
not like completely on Team Mana here as far as who's winning, even though it feels like this is really anyone's game right now.
I'm definitely with you. I just didn't think there was a lot to accomplish there, but it seems like Alphastar felt the exact same way because it didn't commit to anything. It didn't throw away units. It didn't go for a fight that was not winnable. This is, you know, this is almost like went ahead, get further ahead, and just played very safe and steady.
The one thing that's a little bit odd, I feel like, from Alphastar, just lots and lots of Stalkers and non-stop Phoenix production. It's not that bizarre, but you're playing against Immortals, so you know, you could get a little bit nervous that those Immortals will really punish your Stalker count.
That's very dangerous Stalker movement there. Those sentries would have been a tiny bit closer. Alphastar could have lost a lot of units there. Force Field does go down. The Phoenix is trying to get that Warp Prism, and it's something we see in professional soccer play very often.
Yeah, and some good micro. Alphastar actually giving up on it because Mana pulled back the Warp Prism quickly enough that that would have been like an overcommitment of the Phoenixes.
I mean, we didn't see everything of Game 2, but the clips that we did see, I mean, I was kind of focused on the outcome prediction because I think that was super awesome and interesting, but you could see that the Phoenix micro was
看到了
something else.
这个凤凰，
Yeah,
这个凤凰看到那个敌军的一瞬间抖动了一下，你们看到吗？他寻到 Mana 的那第一瞬间要抖动了一下，抖动了一下。
good here, but you don't feel like they're that good that you want to.
有点机会哦这一波。
I feel like this Alphastar is showing a lot more respect for force fields and ramps and movement in
红
general.
米拿出来，
Well, it comes in, and this is the big battle right now. Mana is going in, trying to get a kill here. The Phoenix is just lifting very important units, picking some of them off, taking them out of this battle. And Mana actually
他把哨兵跟不朽者都抬起来了，而且还是先抬那些有开盾的哨兵。
Decision making so far in this game has actually been fantastic, only taking engagements when it knows it can win.
Also, lifting the sentries there is the absolute right play. Sentries don't have a lot of hit points, but do take extra damage from these Phoenixes. So that's the first unit you want to take out. And at this point, I think Alphastar realizes that it's at so many units that it can just start lifting all the units of Mana on the other side of the map.
And definitely a bit of miss micro there as Alphastar comes forward, but I don't think it matters. This is just too big of an army.
Phoenixes are very, very good units.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic game from Alphastar so far. It looks like, you know, the game 2 looked very strong, but this game overall it was like not exactly.
AI 有个地方很强，就是应该说 AI 有几个地方很强。首先就是小地图上面一有紅點，它會第一時間反應。再來就是它的營運基本上不會有什麼爆錢的問題，也不會有卡人口的問題。然後星海這個遊戲運營跟小地圖又非常的重要。因為很多時候兩個人實力相當對，就是你可能卡個人口，或者是小地圖稍微晚個幾秒沒看到，你可能就輸了。對啊，我的意思是這樣子啊。他們每個都去打天梯啊，人家練1場，他可以練100場，練1000場。
This agent of Alphastar decides not to go for the wall off, so we saw the agent in the previous game, or Alphastar in the previous game, did actually go for the wall off. Once again, we have agreed as a Starcraft 2 community that walling off is the optimal.
以後我們就很難遇到真人了，遇到的都是電腦。
100% convinced that you have the right answer for a potential first 2 adapts. So I'm really curious to see if Mana has scouted. I think Mana has scouted every single game up to this point.
等同時間，現實時間200年的對戰時長。
No wall off opening. If he decides to go for the adepts again and perhaps get even more damage done than before.
Yeah, possibly that'll be something we'll see. But
哦，所以他們打的是5個不同的阿巴斯大。 他們打了5場是不同的阿巴斯大。我以為是同一個，是5個不同的。
Of course, adapts are not free, and that is, you know, logic that some players have applied over the last few years of PvP, where it's like, well, I'm actually okay with losing 2 or 3 workers if I am able to pick off 2 adepts, because that often also means that the person that didn't go for the wall up maybe opened up with stalkers, and if you open up with stalkers, then you will have a army advantage over your opponent. So that is logic that we have applied as well. Just in general, most pros have come to the conclusion that losing workers this early into the game is not optimal.
Yeah. That's like a very long-standing thing that is believed.
真的假的？原来是5个不同的。
StarCraft's been out for
你看像这个 Alpha Star 也不会封本的。
That is one of the basic tenets. Don't lose your workers early on. They are very important.
而且它的建筑学也比较特别一点，它是往前一点。仔細這樣看一下的話，確實這五個 Alpha Star 的建築學都不太一樣。
Now, if you want to play defensive, normally you don't open up adepts, because adepts have one purpose, and that is in general to be aggressive on the other side of the map. This time it's actually Alpha Star opening up with the adepts, while Mana is indeed sticking to what he just said on the desk.
其實我也覺得這樣蠻有趣的916，用自己的 RP， 然後訓練出一個自己的 AI， 然後你就可以跟自己練習了，然後你會發現自己到底有多廢，哪些地方有問題。
Going to be very careful about expanding that's placed there, so he can probably put a shield battery down and have that kind of defender's advantage if he gets attacked again by Alpha Star, because you know Alpha Star definitely has been attacking.
你跟自己的 AI 打以後，你就會發現，他這個習慣跟我的習慣是一樣，但是你會發現他有一些弱點嘛，那你就是發現自己的弱點啊。什麼自幹？
Curious to see where these adepts will end up. I'm just generally curious to see how the adept movement is going to be. Okay, so the shading goes rather defensive, rather than committing with the shades forward and going to your enemy's base as quickly as possible. You can see that Officer there is kind of trying to preserve its adepts.
There's a little trend that I've seen from the agents. I know that every agent that we've seen so... Oh, that was a very good recall by Alpha Star, actually. We haven't seen a move quite like that yet. We've seen recalls from the previous agents, but that was kind of a very clutch one where you're going to lose an adept, maybe 2 adepts in that situation.
I think one thing we do really still have to point out then is that if you're asking me what is the one big difference that Alpha Star is doing that almost no other professional StarCraft 2 player does, is the amount of workers that is being produced on one base. Take a look at this mineral line, and once again, you are technically mining more minerals, you know, up to 24. Like going over 24 is 100% pointless, but in general, going from, you know, above 16, there's just very slow progression, and we have decided as community that you really don't want to go over 16 too much. Maybe 18 is acceptable, but normally you don't see 24 workers on one base. That is one thing that truly stands out for me.
Well, with this Oracle from Mana flying in right now and getting a decent amount of probes that get pulled very, very quickly, I guess that Alpha Star is going to be happy once again that it has these extra probes, so its economy won't be completely destroyed. And another thing I want to point out here, Roddy, that we've seen in these games is quite often there will be probes that are off minerals, like with the stalkers chasing down units or kind of running around chasing probes. So
我跟 Alpha Star 打有信心吗？不好说。我觉得可能打前几场会輸，但是打多了我不一定會輸。知道他的弱，就是你打一打的時候，你還是會發現他弱點嘛。我不相信像 Alpha Star 真的有那麼完善，所有東西都會打，他一定會有盲點的。 但是打前幾場正常打應該打不贏，但是打多了應該會發現一些他沒有辦法應對的東西。像我在想，你多線他真的有辦法守得很好嗎？你從2個他沒有視野的地方多線他的話，因為目前看起來他有一些問題，就是他的兵都會走一坨一坨走在一起，就當他在進攻的時候或是幹嘛的。哈莎是有防啊，哈莎這邊看起來是已經有比那個打 TLO 的時候更強了。
in a good spot with these oracles flying around, trying to get some probes, getting the information, and making immortals at home, which are going to do really, really well against this high stalker count.
But I must say, I'm loving the stalker positioning there by Alpha Star. The way that these stalkers were spread out in the natural, the second base of Alpha Star, that just made it very hard for these oracles to come in and get damage done.
That's something that during the TLO match that we were talking about, where
他打这个那個 Mana 是某一屆的 WCS 亞軍。 好像是去年的第2屆，去年第2屆的WCS 亞軍，歐美美洲區。
The level of this Alpha Star is a lot higher than what we saw in our first broadcasted series. That is, I think, very, very obvious in so many ways.
Now that Blink upgrade is on the way for Alpha Star. It seems still like a very, very close game. Mana is going for the Bay. The Robo Bay to increase that tech a little bit, and as second robotics.
Yep. On paper, you do normally like this for Mana, because the army, he's working towards a stronger army. these stalkers are very strong units defensively.
为什么被杀了工兵还比较多？因为他没有，他一直有在补啊。那人类在这方面是有可能会失误的。你在进攻的时候，你有可能会忘了补农民嘛。啊 ，AI 不会啊，他会记得补啊。
They have a lot of micro potential. They have a lot of. They're very fast units, so there is, a high mobility factor that you can really make plays happen. But they are units where you need to make plays happen because in a big straight stand-up fight, they are inferior units to, for instance, Immortals.
Yeah, there's a lot of units in StarCraft 2 where they're very strong early on, and then as you get later and you get higher tech units out to kind of counter them more strongly, they lose that power, and you almost get punished for overmaking them early on. Now, is that going to happen in this game? So far, looking at the compositions that these two are making,
我講啦，我不是說去年嗎？去年的第二次啊，啊不是2018，不然去年是2017嗎？
Because I agree with you that composition-wise, there's
去年啊
absolutely an advantage.
去年的第二季
But you can also say that the ball is in the corner of AlphaStar. AlphaStar needs to make plays happen. But if there's one
他那一场就我播的啊
versus Protoss where you can say you can get value out of them, even though you've made a lot of them early on, it is in general the Stalker. Now 29 Stalkers don't want to fight this straight up. There is a shield battery, there are Immortals, there are stasis traps that will freeze those units. But let's see if there is some potential here.
Yeah, there's so many Stalkers out. 30 is a number beyond anything that we really ever see. Now, Mana is kind of zoning them out with that powerful disruptor.
你看，你说實在，他這個閃追也不是完美的。你看他那個沒血的還是會死啊，他不是完美的閃現哦。他這個閃現的程度是人類做得到的閃現。你看他前面那只不朽還是把他 A 掉他的那個追獵了嘛。
And these Immortals are starting to do serious work.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we went over. In a straight-up fight, Immortals are simply quite a bit stronger than Stalkers, but AlphaStar was displaying some phenomenal micro there. Being able to keep these Stalkers alive. Oh my goodness, this Stalker count is out of control. How many Stalkers is that?
Now, it is 32, so we have even more than AlphaStar started with, but 6 Immortals and shield batteries and stasis wards should be able to hold on at this point.
No amount of micros should be able to save you here. I do love that AlphaStar is transitioning during all of this. Wow, I love actually. So there are a couple of tricks that we use in Protoss versus Protoss. Without getting too technical here, Immortals have a barrier that can absorb quite a bit of damage. Now, what pro players like to do is target the Immortal.
AI 在控的时候可以把追獵散開。
barrier go off, and then you use the rest of your army to gun this Immortal down. AlphaStar is using this trick over and over and over again.
It is fantastic micro. Now, we should point out that Mana just warped in Dark Templars. These are invisible unless you have a
像他这個閃現啊，他這個程度大概是你拿韓子的那些，比如說像 States， 我覺得要做到這樣操作也是可以。 他這閃現並沒有說非常非常誇張，像那個之前不是有那個什麼悍馬2000嗎？悍馬2000那個閃追才是真的太陰霸的那種，這種閃追都是我覺得人類還有可能做到的。
Okay, so once again goes in. These Stalkers are getting softened up. You can see on those health bars, a lot of them have taken quite a bit of damage.
After these Dark Templars actually got recalled there by Mana. We can see these Immortals are starting to do some very serious work here. Stalkers have micro potential, but the damage output of 5 or 6 of these Immortals from Mana, that's simply too high, and no amount of micro can save you in these kind of fights.
And now that he has these Dark Templars at home, making an Archon, Mana is playing an extremely intelligent game right now. I'm very impressed with the control of AlphaStar, the fact that AlphaStar has taken a third base and gotten the Observer out in time to not.
我覺得這些兵走到開闊地有可能會被操作到死。如果對手是阿巴斯塔的話，這個如果追獵包一個圓上去，然後每次追獵又控得很神的話。
But if AlphaStar would be able to perhaps buy some more time for itself,
因為考慮到對方是電腦，如果是人類可能不行，因為人類不可能你3邊追獵都控那麼好嘛。但如果今天是電腦的話，或許就有可能。
Extremely well for Mana, but we keep seeing AlphaStar do that trick that you're talking about, hit the barriers on the Immortals and then blink away. Not that much damage on these Stalkers. I feel like most pros would have lost all these Stalkers by now.
Multiple groups of Stalkers being controlled here as well. Look at the Oracle, there are Stalkers everywhere. I think at this point Mana is also wondering, okay, what am I going up against? Because this is I mean, not even the best Protoss players can often pull off movement like this.
You're really quite right about that.
Oh, the War Prism.
Oh, that was a great pickoff right there, and getting the Disruptor as well. Oh my gosh, Alpha Star with the pure Stalker strategy.
This is insane control, though. Multiple armies being controlled. All the Immortals went down, and now it's just a couple of Zealots, and obviously Stalkers are fat. Well, there are still a couple of Immortals. It's incredibly difficult to do this in a game of StarCraft 2, where you micro units on the south side of your screen, but at the same time you also have to do it on the north side.
你要控到你下面的追列在控，你上面的追列追击，然后一直从四面八方去飘。 这个人类是很难做到的，是有比赛中是看得到这样做，但是真的很少见，确实是有看过，我自己也有做过这样的事情，但是操作起来跟電腦是不同檔次。比賽中確實是會出現，是能夠做到這樣子，但是是能做到這樣的想法，但是你要操作好是一回事。
Unbelievable. Like having Mana has made so many Immortals this game, I can't even count how high.
对对对，就是切画面这件事情。然後你要控上面，要控下面，你畫面不可能控那麼精準嘛。
Most counters.
我們來看那個 Alpha Star 第一視角好了。 你们家的猫咪会這樣子嗎？這叫做訓練有素的貓。
你的探測機正受到攻擊。基地正受到攻擊，建造更多水晶塔。
卡布還在我們家，等等喬敏會過來，我們就可以看到那個霸凌卡布的第一現場畫面哦。他好像要揍他的樣子。
我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。
啊，這不是重點。 哦，這場是也4比0那一場。阿巴斯大手速也沒多快啊，說實在的。
我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。
我覺得看 APN 大家比較有興趣哦。
我來了，在陰影中。
有了，正常，這手速正常，300多。
发完成。
我来了，在阴影中。我来了，在阴影中。我来了，在阴影中。
这边应该是打死了。然后他这个地方其實 Mana 有個失誤。
你的探測機正受到攻擊。
讓敵人嘗嘗我的憤怒。我來了。
他的那個不朽者，你看這位置太爛了吧？他那個不朽者位置好一點，搞不好這波守住了。
我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。
所以到底強不強？Mana被他5比0，你覺得強不強？
我來了，在陰影中。
這是第一場。哎，這場阿巴斯大為什麼沒有第一視角啊？哦，有，他一開始覺得沒事做，所以他不會動，他只需要點主堡，然後升工兵就好，所以他一開始手速很低，不用做事情。有了，然後他的視角也不會亂晃哎，可是他明明就把工兵派出去，這樣子合理嗎？然後那個啊，他們在打的時候有講到一件事情，就是他打的這5個阿發斯大是不同的5個阿發斯大，不是同一個哦，是5個不同的啊。這個巡邏是怎樣？他連巡邏這個壞行為也學起來了，好扯哦！他是看了誰的呂布類在那邊巡啊？巡邏啊？然後這邊還有巡那個，還有嘗試要去巡那個野兵營之類的。他們會上天梯打嗎？我覺得應該有實際上天梯打過，只是那個名字可能是用條碼或什麼的。
建造更多水晶塔。
沒設計 GG 投降，你覺得沒上天梯是不是？你說輸了不會打 GG 這樣？哎，對，也是有道理，對，有道理。他們當然會把不好的東西剔除掉啊，像卡恩口這種事情，他們絕對不會發生的嘛。會發生的話，那個阿巴斯大也不會出現在這5個裡面啊。這5個裡面絕對是那好幾個阿巴斯大裡面最優秀的5個啦。
皮卡丘。爹连續工作7天，明天終於放假啦！
哦，感謝更新中，感謝續訂29等乾爹。
我來了，在陰影中。
什麼也有大師，他媽我打到宗師好嗎？
次元弦线调和成功。
话說你们知道什麼時候最容易卡人口嗎？會卡都是有原因的哦，就是有些時候特別容易卡，像44人口這種的，26、26、44、44這個都特別容易卡，還有一個60多的時候也會卡一次。那幾個時間點會特別容易卡，就是因為那幾個時間點會有一些事件發生，所以就比較容易卡。
你的探测机正受到攻擊。
是不是顏色怪怪的？正常。這阿巴斯大的那個空軍甩起來也是蠻牛逼的。然後我覺得阿巴斯大有一些地方蠻有趣的，像是他還會計算說，不是計算啊，他有一個信心指數，會說他覺得這場他的勝率多少，超靠北。你們如果有興趣可以去看那個 VOD， 那個他在打 Mana 對，有一場有放出他的信心指數。就這一場啊，就這一場，就你們是要看replay這場，他到时候那個 Mana 過來的被吃一波以後，他信心指數就爆棚了，勝率達到90幾%這樣，超靠北。
傳送者，
不會，這個不會，他那個直播畫面有把它顯示出來，就這一波他守住以後，他這有點 OP， 他根本畫面根本就沒看到對方，不是吧？這作弊了吧？他這個畫面根本就沒切到對方臉上就可以去踩，是這樣。然後這個地方我覺得拉3隻工兵很溜哎，拉3隻工兵去彈那個傷害很溜。
傳送者，
他可以從小地圖的那個框框的大小來判別對方手兵嗎？是這樣嗎？
為艾爾而生。为艾尔而生。
傳送者，
为艾爾而生。为艾爾而生。
傳送者，
为艾爾而生。为艾爾而生。为艾爾而生。
傳送者已經耗盡。
2次以5比0擊敗 TOO 和 Mana 的 Alpha Star 無需控制視角，可直接讀取地圖所有可見內容。也是啦，因為我們單純從這個呂波來看的話，確實是有點陰霸呢。他剛剛那個守 Mana 第一波的時候，他根本沒有把視角換過去嘛，他就可以直接用鳳凰去抬那個視野外的東西了，對吧？他剛剛是抬視野外的東西吧？我應該沒有看錯。
將榮耀獻給達蘭。
我的奇星算炸，
为艾尔而生，
金矿场已经耗尽，
为艾尔而生，
金矿场已经耗尽，
为艾尔而生，为艾尔而生。
来，你看我们看这个地方，我觉得这个地方有点母汤哎，这里。
战机正受到攻击。
来这里，你看啊，他这个明显是没有，这样，再滑一点。
传送者，
我来了，让敌人尝尝。我来了，带领你。
哦，等等，他这个操作好像是可以的哦。他是抬了他的那个，他是抬了他视野下面露出头的2只追猎。
我来了，
然后他抬这2只追猎是在冒出头的。然后他还把没血的凤凰按 ESC 然后往后飞，哈，干超强！哎，他的凤凰你们仔細看，这他菜6了吧？他這個鳳凰沒血被擊火那一隻對，他把 ESC 他把台的取消往後飛。
我來了。
我們慢動作來看，幹超北七。
我來了。
然後這時候往後飛，抬起來對。幹這鳳凰是殺小，5點10分，我看一下啊。
讓敵人
对啊，所以我觉得這個地方就有點不公平啊，因為他的視野是全地圖的都看得到的話，那就不太公平了。因為星海就是有限制你地圖大小增加，不然我們也可以把地圖拉很遠啊。對，我們也可以把地圖拉很遠啊。但他事實上他不讓我們可以把地圖拉很遠啊。
為艾爾而生。
傳送者，
啊，第3場，這場已經看完了。別讓螢幕的視野限制了你的想象力。 這場是不是剛剛也有播到啊？只是不知道這场是長什麼樣子，我有點忘记了。啊，這場是不是那個追獵过去？不朽者过去被包死那一場啊？
基地正受到攻击。
他还会看对方那边哦。这怎樣？他直接把节點射在人家臉上，哎。直接把节点射人家臉上，這樣合理嗎？他花了很大篇幅射人家臉上，在陰影中。對他來說，射人家臉上遠比他好好的看自己的運營還要重要啊！好，想起來這場了，6追。這場的打法也是可以用的哦，你們也可以學。這樣打法就是6追獵開2礦，然後轉 VS， 這打法實戰中也會出現的。我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。傳送成功。我來了，與敵人交戰中。我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影傳送。傳送成功。我來了，在陰影中。我來了，在陰影中。傳送成功。阿發利有連7補都不看的。阿發利有已經贏了阿法夠了。我來了，在陰影中。傳送成功。那個阿發利羅是什麼概念啊？阿發利羅跟阿法夠分別是什麼概念啊？我來了，在陰影中。 阿法狗被人類欺負污染了。那阿法利罗是怎樣？那阿法利罗是怎麼訓練的啊？
金礦場已經耗盡。
我來了，在
阿法利羅只有規則，然後屌虐阿法狗，我靠，好屌哦！所以。哦，所以我懂意思了。所以阿法利罗跟这个阿法Star是同樣的咯，深度學習從零開始，自己跟自己打這樣。沒有，可是阿法利羅有那個阿法Star有加有加鋁盔進去。